host, Josh. I'm sitting here with my co-host, Adam, and today on the podcast, we are going to be reviewing the 1963 horror film, The Haunted Palace, starring Vincent Price, Lon Chaney Jr., and Deborah Paget. Here's the trailer.
You are invited to an open house where horror will be your host. The Haunted Palace. You, who find a kind of macabre joyousness in the horrifying, will enjoy yourselves as in ecstasy in The Haunted Palace, starring Vincent Price, a being who lived and died and lives again.
I'll not have my fill of revenge until this village is a graveyard.
And intriguing Deborah Paget, whose appealing beauty inflames the blood of the bloodless.
Charles, please.
Well, I've been very busy, but I'm back now.
Charles, no!
Have the whole night before.
His violent, torturous passions inflict both pain and terror. Lon Chaney, carrying on a family tradition of masterful motion picture horror, while the strange and feared new master of the Haunted Palace reaches for the skeleton of one long dead.
You see? He's taken her mind, her soul, just like the others.
Really, this is outrageous.
Let's think about it.
Shall bear my curse.
Burn him!
Surely after all these years, I'm entitled to a few small amusements.
So, to begin, the Haunted Palace begins with Vincent Price. He's a warlock. Or at least he's an alleged warlock. We kind of zero in on a tavern of the townspeople of Arkham, and this movie is based on apparently a Edgar Allan Poe poem called "The Haunted Palace," and then a short story by turn of the century writer H.P. Lovecraft called "The Case of Charles Dexter Ward." Mm-hmm. And there are some other things we can get to a little later, kind of talking about how that happened. I did some research, try to figure out what exactly was going on and why this fits into Corman's Edgar Allan Poe series of films. So when I say Arkham is a big, it should be, to anybody who's read H.P. Lovecraft, is a very familiar location. It's appeared in lots of his short stories. I believe Arkham University, if I'm not mistaken, is the one in The Reanimator. So it's also, I could be wrong about that, but it's, regardless, it features prominently in movies, stories, probably other books, I would assume.
There was a Miskatonic.
Oh, it was Miskatonic. Yeah, it was Miskatonic
Yeah.
University.
Yeah.
But I think Arkham, the location, should be familiar to Lovecraft. Evangelists, fans.
That sounds good.
I think I'm a fan of Lovecraft, but it's been a long time since. I mean, that was like some of my early reading days.
His stories.
Yeah, his stories. Yes, his stories. Let's put the politics aside. Maybe why I've strayed away from some of his writings as I've gotten older. So, so we are on a tavern in Arkham. The tavern goers are scared of something when they see a young woman walk by. I believe her name in the movie is Anne Ward. She's wearing a cloak walking down a dimly lit street. And one of those things that I love, about Corman films, the atmosphere is like immediately established. It's like a foggy street. It looks gorgeous. It's just like it's picturesque if it wasn't meant to be so terrifying and like laced with gothic horror. They two of the tavern goers and I have their names here. Let me pull them up. We've got Leo Gordon, who is the town leader of sorts, Ezra Whedon, and then we also have Elijah Cook Jr. is the actor. They pursue this girl kind of like sneakily, I guess, and follow her to Vincent Price's, the Haunted Palace.
Yes.
And there they, I guess, were kind of taken through, not a montage, but she's led down into Vincent Price's, what do you even call that?
A dungeon?
Yeah,
catacombs?
his dungeon. And the music is going, if you heard it in the trailer, that music is featured prominently throughout this entire film. And so I guess it's kind of, it starts to get to the point where you're figuring out that Vincent Price is some kind of warlock, black magic person, but you're not really sure why, I guess, why he's doing what it is. I guess you come to find out, but you're not really sure right away.
Yeah, him and his lady friend are very suspectable immediately.
Yeah.
I mean, you can tell, like, when the lady enters the house, they both, I mean, she looks like Vampirella. And
yes, yep.
Vincent Price looks like Vincent Price, so he's got that against him as far as being a spooky old guy.
And they do like a reveal on Vincent Price, too, where it kind of like pans on him, and it's just like, dun, dun. It's like, oh, there's Vincent Price. And he's just like, it's me. And his name in the movie is, let me see, he is Joseph Kerwin, and he's at the Kerwin estate. Later we will find his other character that he plays in this
Not
movie.
him.
Not Vincent Price, right? The townspeople, I guess to abbreviate this a bit, the townspeople show up. It's it's like a Frankenstein story in the beginning. They show up, they know he's been...
Yeah, they light torches before they head to Kerwin Manor.
Oh, yeah,
They're ready to get some stuff done.
They're going, with full intent of violence. It sounds like he's maybe been kidnapping women, or women have just been hypnotized and showed up. I'm not really sure.
He's just a spooky guy, and weird things happen around him. Yep.
Yeah, and so they question the girl, and they figure out she's not of sound mind and body, and they pull Vincent Price outside and burn him. At his tree out front, at his big old warlock tree. And before he dies, he curses all of the villagers that are standing around. And I do have the burning scene, which I could play.
No, not the woman. Leave her be. She's been hexed. It'll be right with us again when he's gone, Hester. You'll see. Hester. Have you anything to say, Warlock?
Only this. As surely as the village of Arkham has risen up against me, so shall I rise from the dead against the village of Arkham. Each one of you, Ezra Whedon, Micah Smith, Benjamin West, Priam Willett, Gideon Leach, all of you and your children's children shall have just cause to regret the actions of this night. For from this night onward, you shall bear my curse.
Burn the devil. Burn him.
And he arrives with Deborah Paget. I'm not quite sure he arrives because he's inherited the haunted palace.
Yeah. Yep.
So this is all not boding well. Immediately, we've got we meet some of the townsfolk there, and I think it's immediately made clear that they're mutant people now.
Well, not only that, but the descendants of everyone 110 years later are played by the exact same people that they were 110 years earlier.
Okay.
There's no differentiation of any cast members as far as I can tell.
And this is going to be getting into the likes, dislikes toward the end. This is something I definitely want to talk about because some confusion set in. But so fast forwarding, Vincent Price inherits the haunted palace. Goes and investigates. Him and Deborah Paget meet a couple of characters. They meet the butler of...
The caretaker.
The caretaker of the haunted palace. John Spookley...
Lon Chaney.
Oh, so there's Lon Chaney, and then there's like a butler guy.
Oh, I don't know who the butler is.
So he shows up. It's kind of just like his...
John Spookley?
Yeah, John Spookley. They kind of show up. They're kind of like... definitely tertiary characters, but they're kind of around. I'm not really. They serve a purpose to some degree, but I guess in the writing of this film, it's like here's a couple of additional spooky characters for you.
Little henchmen.
Yes, little henchmen. Yeah, Lon Chaney when he emerges, and you pointed this out. I may have stolen your observation from you only because I think you said it on mic before we started recording. But Lon Chaney is like bloated and does not look great.
Yeah.
Even if you removed the horrific makeup he was wearing, because he's like, they're starting to turn, like the people 110 years later, the people of Arkham are turning into weird fish monster, sloppy mutant people. And Lon Chaney embodies the sloppy of the sloppy mutant people.
Yeah, he's fine in every other way. He's just he's ravaged by alcohol.
He's not in the film much. He kind of appears, I think at one point to give Vincent Price a jacket. It's like, it's cold out, sir.
Yep. And he turns down their bed, makes them dinner.
Yeah, and so yeah, kind of like the middle part of the movie kind of establishes more or less that the people there's something has gone awry. Maybe this curse that Joseph Kerwin.
Yeah, the elder. Yeah.
Yep. That he talked about, that maybe this has some something to play or some part to play in what's happening to the people of Arkham. And I'm trying to remember, too, because my Lovecraft lore has definitely left me, and certainly left me in recent years. But there was he had a story about fish people in a particular city, and I can't remember the name of that.
The city is Dagon, I believe.
Is it? I do remember the story Dagon with, like, the big fish monster out in the ocean.
Yeah, maybe I'm getting them confused, too.
So, but if you're familiar with Lovecraft, I think you get it. There's fish monsters, fish people. They emerge from the depths. Or at least in this case, they're being turned into mutant people. I'm not really...
Yeah,
it just must be the curse,
a lot of eyeless people, a lot of clubbed feet, a lot of fins on fingers, things of that nature. And
that's a pretty cool scene, too, when Vincent Price and Deborah Paget are in the middle of the town, and the townspeople start to emerge from their homes, and there's people who are like, there's skin over their eyes, or they've grown big pig noses, as one character, it was revealed. And then we have a scene in the tavern, and I'm not chronologically, I'm not sure exactly where this fits in, but we meet the townsfolk, the people of the tavern who burned Joseph Kerwin, Vincent Price, at the stake, and they're all the same characters.
The descendants.
Yes. So the descendants are there, and Cook Jr. shows that he has webbed hands now. It's like, this has happened to us, and we can't let him back into the haunted palace.
And just as an aside, from the mob of mutants in the street, like, that guy's complaining about webbed hands. I mean, it's probably the least of... It's not bad. That's
true.
Faster.
It's true, because you have some people that are just really messed up from this curse, and he's just like, webbed fingers.
Well, look at this. I can barely hold this beer, but I still can.
But certainly can swim faster. So I guess the next major plot point is that Joseph Kerwin is starting to dominate Vincent Price, Charles Dexter Ward. He's starting to take over.
There's that painting.
Yes, that horrific painting of Vincent Price. I'm trying to figure out why my display is going up and down. But so he kind of sees the painting, and I didn't catch anything from. Does the painting have some hold on him, or is it just the painting itself?
The painting's driving him mad. I'm sure we'll talk more about this after we're done with the plot. But this is definitely a Lovecraftian theme where the people in the stories they slowly go mad, and this painting has a hold on Vincent Price, and that's what's keeping him keeping him there and making him worse.
Okay, because and I watched this film twice. I watched it the first evening, and then I just watched it this morning, and still some confusion, and whether it's plotting, writing, or just my own what's a good word for it? I'm trying to think my own not inattentiveness, but maybe I guess inattentiveness is fine. So I'm kind of going in and out, and that's something I'm going to bring up in the dislikes about this movie, particularly and how I was watching it. But yeah, so we find he's turning back into Joseph Curwen, or he is being taken a hold of, and he literally is embodying Joseph Curwen. What's a good way to explain that?
Joseph Curwen is he's kind of taking over his body. Joseph Curwen is trying to live again through his descendant.
Yeah, because when he comes back, he talks to Lon Chaney Jr. and he goes, how long have I been gone? And he's like 110 years. And he's like 110 years. So he's now come back and immediately sets himself about trying to resurrect his dead wife. And then just kind of being an evil bastard as he goes around, because eventually he gets to where he starts his path of vengeance and revenge against the people who had wronged him, or however he thought. But then there's this other underlying thing happening in the story too, where we meet a doctor character, and if I'm leaving anything out, feel free to chime in with anything, because they eventually meet this doctor who looks like Robert Patrick, the T-1000, and he arrives, and which I thought was really he's played by Frank Maxwell, looks like Robert Patrick. And he kind of comes in. He's like a late gamer. We're already pretty well into the film, and then it's here's another main character who's going to be important to the end of the film. And so Robert Patrick is starts to explain to them what it was that Joseph Curwen is doing. And I believe he references the Necronomicon.
Yep.
And then he references Cthulhu, or Thulu as he calls it, and Yog-Sothoth. And you could definitely tell that Frank Maxwell did not want to say those words, or was not interested in saying those words. He's like, here's a bunch of jargon. I don't care. Yeah, why do I have to? As long as I'm getting a paycheck, I guess. Here's Yog-Sothoth.
But the doctor seems pretty he's kind of defending Charles Dexter Ward to a point.
Yeah.
The townsfolk are like, no, this guy's bad news, and he's like, you're getting a little riled up. And he kind of seems like a twerp because he doesn't see it, and everybody else kind of does,
Yeah, and he's because some of the other there's other elements where we see what is his name, Ezra it's Ezra Whedon. We see that he and his wife had a child, but the child is now a monster that lives upstairs that they keep locked up, and that he feeds meat, and so they've got this mutant kid upstairs. It's just kind of this. It's a brief segue in the story. It's oh yeah, here's some more mutants for you. It's a haunted palace, guys. Enjoy. Yeah. And again, with the Roger Corman aspect, though, while a lot of this probably sounds silly to anybody listening, it's all shot really well. It's all everything is I guess you talk about framing and all that stuff, but it's all visually, everything is just appealing. Even though Lon Chaney Jr. looks like a bloated mess, it's still a good looking film.
Yeah, there was a scene where he was kind of coming down a hallway towards Anne Ward.
Yeah,
and she thought it was her husband, and she's calling out his Charles's name. And slowly but surely, Lon Chaney emerges from the shadows. It's a pretty scary scene because he looks rough anyway in real life.
Yeah,
and then when he kind of peers out of the shadows, it's pretty. Yeah,
and it's down a long hallway, and it's lit dynamically, so you can't quite see who it is. Awful bloated.
I could tell
body. It was Lon Chaney. But yeah, so it all looks good, and then even the silliness of the doctor bringing up these elder gods, because he says Joseph Curwen was trying to bring back the elder gods, and this is such a again, I'll get to it in dislikes at the end, but kind of an odd, I think, a bit of an odd story arc we start getting into. Is I'm not quite sure. There's there's lots of stuff happening. And it all deals with him just being a warlock, Joseph Kerwin. So he's doing evil things, and these things are all stacking up. We then get into Vincent Price gets into a Quentin Tarantino-esque revenge subplot.
And before you get into that, I think also we should bring up the point that Charles Dexter Ward continues to kind of phase in and out of his of Joseph Kerwin being a hold of his body. So there's times that he shows his wife that he's still the man that she loves, but then he will quickly, and that painting has a lot to do with it, because there's a scene specifically where he's of sound mind again for an instant, and he says, well, tomorrow we'll leave. And then they get dressed to the nines because they're going to drive somewhere, which is hilarious to me. They got so many petticoats on, but they're walking through a hallway, and she has to go grab something before they leave. And as soon as she leaves, just the way the shot was framed, I knew exactly where the painting was.
Okay, yeah.
And it's a really nice, slow turn for Vincent Price, and he slowly looks, and sure enough, there's that damn painting, and he flips right back.
Yeah.
And before he got into the revenge, he was in and out of the of being possessed.
Yeah.
But slowly he became where there was no Charles Dexter Ward.
Yeah, Charles Dexter Ward was gone.
Yes.
He was absent. There's a couple of things too when he is Joseph Kerwin. He is twice in the movie he invokes his husbandly right, which I was just annoying my wife with it. I was like, a husband has rights. As soon as we watched it, I think I said it multiple times where she was like, please shut up and stop saying that. It's so dumb. But so then he goes on to this revenge subplot where everybody who wronged him and burned him at the stake, he starts systematically assassinating. He kills Ezra Whedon by letting loose his mutant son, and his mutant son tackles them, and then they both catch on fire in the fireplace, which I think was pretty cool, cool visual, because you see Ezra Whedon's head on fire.
Agreed.
And so it looks good. And then he's got like his list that he tears up. And as my wife pointed out, he should have ripped it, and it should have ripped at an odd angle, and just shit.
I did at one point.
It's like, whoops-a-daisy, should have used scissors. But then he goes, he catches what is his Micah? Let me get his name again. Elijah Cook Jr.'s character catches him on fire after he pursues him through the street. And then I'm trying to think if he kills anybody else. I know it definitely shows those two.
I believe he gets all the descendants
except for one, right? Which is the older guy, Jeremiah or Josiah, or this old haggard-looking man who eventually leads the village people back to the haunted palace at the end of the movie. So that kind of subplot happens, and Lon Chaney's like, "Hey, you got to stick to what we're supposed to be doing," and which, as we find out, is exactly what Frank Maxwell or Dr. Willett tells them, which is that yes, Joseph Kerwin is trying to raise the cutest looking elder god frog babies from where their eternal slumber. And we get so he takes Deborah Paget, ties her up. If I'm moving too quickly, slow me down.
Well, at one point, Deborah Paget, she wants to get away because at one point Vincent Price tries to force himself on his wife, and she's really not into it. And then he gets the doctor. Joseph Kerwin gets the doctor to take Deborah Paget away, but then they return. Yeah, and she insists that she goes with the doctor for the thrilling climax when they get to the haunted palace, and that's so kind of like Dr. Willett is like functioning as this I don't know, he's functioning as a character, like a support character, but then becomes kind of the main character toward the end, and goes to rescue Deborah Paget from the elder gods. Now Vincent Price ties her up in his dungeon, and there's like an ancient well in there that's like illuminating green light,
and he opens the top of the well after he's sprinkled some bath salts and things around, or whatever the smoke powder, fire powder,
to make
whatever
the fire come up. Yeah,
and Deborah Paget screams and looks down into the well, and yes, there is like. It's like the way it's shot is so it's like a little blurry. I think it's supposed to be an elder god.
It looks like a tiny version of Pumpkinhead.
Yes, but like a little bit chubbier and kind of adorable. I was like, this is like an adorable little elder god.
Yes,
it's like baby Cthulhu or baby Thulu. You know, it's like this little adorable monster, and she screams. I was laughing, but it was that's kind of revealed, and then and I forget how this happens, but Dr. Willett comes in, a fire starts. Because the Haunted Palace is consumed in flames by the end of the movie.
Now I watch a lot of these movies, so I may get this wrong, but I believe this is the movie that I laughed out loud because I believe the townspeople were throwing torches at the stone walls and they were bursting into flames.
Yes.
So I had to laugh out loud there just because I'm pretty sure that doesn't work that way.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, everything bursts into flames, and Joseph Kerwin is essentially exorcised from Charles Dexter Ward's body through. I forget what happens.
Does somebody burns the painting, right?
Oh, that's right. Yes, the painting.
Because what I forgot is that yes, the and though I just mentioned it not too long ago, one of the old townsperson that is still alive who was in line to be assassinated by Joseph Kerwin. He leads all of the mutant villagers to the Haunted Palace to finally destroy. To bring the palace down, or the house, its mansion.
And just as an aside, why wouldn't they have done that years before?
I don't know. They're all drunken and angry, and they've just been that way.
And they've all been worried about this place that has stood for at least 110 more years.
And perhaps it was because Micah, or Micus, or I think it was Micah. They found his smoldering remains in the street because he gets caught on fire. So I don't know if that was just like, this is it. This is the last straw.
No more.
It wasn't the mutant baby or my webbed feet or the fact that I've got two heads. Right. This is it. He's crossed that boundary. So they start burning down the palace. Dr. Willett rescues Deborah Paget
heroically. He runs through the main house, goes to the secret door
twice.
Yep, yeah.
So he goes in, rescues her, gets her outside, comes back in, gets Vincent Price, who he assumes is Charles Dexter Ward, who's been exorcised, as you say, of Joseph Kerwin's evil spirit. They get outside, and then it's kind of revealed at the end that...
Or is
he Charles Dexter Ward? So Joseph Kerwin may or may not still be inhabiting Vincent Price's body. And then that the Haunted Palace theme kicks on.
Again, did it ever stop?
I didn't. I think it just went the entire time. There were long moments of just like, here's a door.
I stopped to get a beer at one point. I paused the movie. I walked upstairs to get a beer, and I was humming, without even thinking about it.
Yeah, even when I was listening to the trailer, I'm like, it's an earworm only in how many times it was played in the film, because otherwise it's not like a super memorable thing. It's very like what is that, exotica? It's like that type of music that it used to appear in old films. I think something we've talked about previously on a separate show, but it's not like totally remarkable, but it just plays so many times throughout the film. So yeah, that's the end of the film. Is there anything you wanted to add to it before we jump to our next segment?
No, I think we covered everything. No.
Yeah, I'm trying to. There mutant children, mutant people. There wasn't. Let me take a look at my notes here real quick.
He does bring his. I don't know if it was his Joseph Kerwin's wife. But that Vampirella lady, he did bring her back to life before the ceremony with.
Oh, that's right. Yes, yeah. So there's like weird little like kind of like subplots throughout the film too. So you have where he's trying to bring his wife back, which he eventually does, and then she's gone. Just kind of like or destroyed in the fire. I don't quite remember.
I believe that that his female assistant and then Lon Chaney and then the butler all perished in the fire.
Yeah. I think on the Wikipedia it's like they all left, but it's like there's no indication of that. It's like that doesn't tell me anything. I should point out too that at the very beginning, some of the a line that cracked me up that I was just like giggling over. They're warned that the haunted palace is haunted. It's a haunted palace, right? Yes, it's a haunted palace.
It's the haunted palace. Yes.
And it's as soon as Vincent Price gets there, he says, "Well, it looks cursed. I'll give it that." And he kind of just like throws his arms up a little bit. It's like, okay.
I would like to point out, and I wish I would have looked it up on YouTube so I knew the name of it, but there was a vinyl record put out back in the 60s, and it was like Witches and Warlocks or something. It was like this, I don't know if it was specifically a Halloween album for kids to listen to, but it was Vincent Price telling these tales of witches and all this this macabre stuff. But through that entire record, he speaks in tongues so much, and in this movie, he does the same thing. He speaks in tongues, and like
nonsense,
like he was doing at the altar when he was doing the ceremony.
Yes.
And I'll say this, that I was thinking the other day about this movie, how I think, and this is going to be a hot take.
All right, I'm listening.
I think Vincent Price was the Nicolas Cage of his time. And this is why I think that. I think that Vincent... Now, I don't know if Vincent Price, if he were alive today, would take the amount of roles that Nicolas Cage takes, but he is so into the character that he plays, and he'll play it so over the top.
Yeah.
You could genuinely see he practiced speaking in tongues, so it was perfect. So this guy, who's a really good actor for his time, I guess that's debatable. I mean, he was over the top. I very much love Vincent Price, so I can't really look any other way.
Having read many reviews of Vincent Price films, it seems that critical consensus is that Vincent Price is just like, he's always a joy when he's there, and I could not agree more.
And just watching him, you were talking about the doctor, kind of being like, Yog Sothoth.
Yeah.
Vincent Price was completely into it. He was completely committed to it. This, maybe on a future episode, I'll look that up, because the YouTube, it's like a 46-minute listen, but it is incredible to listen to Vincent Price just talk about these witchy things and say these spells. And you could see it on the screen in this movie, and I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, and there's lots of moments that, or I guess there's a few moments of that in the film. It just must be a skill set he adopted maybe from the stage. And it's just like, I guess that like stories of like bards speak, where it's just kind of like forsooth, forsayeth, or whatever. Just kind of kind of improvisational dialogue. He's like, "Oh, I've got one for you," and it's kind of like, and I'll make this brief so we can go to our break. But there's, I believe, in the Fall of House of Usher, and I've probably mentioned this to you before, but there is a moment in there where he's playing a lute, and it is very clear that he does not know how to play the lute at all, and he is just stabbing notes, but it sounds dissonant and weird, and so I just assumed the director was like, yes, more of that, and he was like, I guess, whatever. So that's the plot. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, I'm going to put Adam through a trivia game, and then reveal his sweet reward if he passes. I guess the prize. You also get a reward, which is the prize.
All right, nice.
So we're just coming up on a break, and when we return, we will be playing a trivia game with our guest to close out the show. Well, I say close out the show. So I've got some things to smooth over on this podcast. So we're just going to go to a break, and then we'll come back.
Got it. The show's after that.
Yes.
The show's done after that, guys.
We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to the Film Can. For this next segment, Adam, I have put together a fun trivia game to teach you and the audience a thing or two about this movie. I'm going to reword that because it sounds like I know everything about this movie, and then I'm teaching you guys.
But a movie title you can't remember.
Yeah, The Horror Palace. So yes, are you up for the challenge?
I'm ready.
So Adam, this is a 5-question multiple choice trivia game, featuring trivia about the 1963 film The Haunted Palace. Question 1. Which famous director provided additional dialogue for this movie? Was it A. Orson Welles, B. Stanley Kubrick, C. Brian De Palma, or D. Francis Ford Coppola?
It was one of them?
It was one of them. Additional dialogue.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say Stanley Kubrick.
Okay, your rationale being...
Well, it's there is no rationale. I'm just taking a shot at the dark. I wish this was two answers.
Adam, that is incorrect. D. Francis Ford Coppola.
Wow.
Yeah, he added the line "Yog Sothoth." Not really.
Wow.
I actually tried to do a little bit like a deeper dive on that. Couldn't really find anything to verify it, but so it could be totally false. I think it's odd. I saw it appear in 2 places, but they could have been using the same reference. So it might not even be true. It just seems very... I don't know.
That explains the 30-minute wedding scene, too.
That's why James Caan was in there for no reason. just a walk-on.
Get shot to hell in a horse buggy.
Yes, yeah.
You had this coming, sonny.
Yeah, that was during the revenge scene. All right, question 2. The music was composed by Ronald Stein, who also created the score for all but which of the following? A. 13 Ghosts from 1960. B. Invasion of the Saucermen, 1957. C. Attack of the Crab Monsters, 1957. Or D. The Little Shop of Horrors, 1960.
What was A?
13 Ghosts in 1960.
I would say A.
Rationale?
Because I have like this sinking suspicion that it might be Bernard Herrmann who did that one.
And I mean, B, C, and D, they all have the same theme. That D, 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 D.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, Adam, you are correct. So it was Von Dexter who did the music for 13 Ghosts, and he did a lot of scores for, from what I could tell, the legendary producer William Castle.
Oh, okay.
So you're right. 1 out of 5. You're going to get that prize.
Here I come, prize.
Yeah. Question 3.
I see it wrapped in the corner. It's pretty magnificent.
Almost like a Red Ryder BB gun box, yeah. Question 3. True or false? The studio wanted to keep in line with Corman's Poe series, so against Corman's wishes, marketed the film as a Poe film, even though it only features a few lines from an Edgar Allan Poe poem.
I'm going to say true. And mainly because it feels way more Lovecraftian than it does Poe.
That is true. Yeah, for whatever reason, the company was like, well, what made it successful is Edgar Allan Poe. So let's just do that. And yet there's only, it said 2 lines. So there's actually 2 lines in the beginning and 2 lines at the end. From the same poem.
That he narrates that.
That he narrates.
Oh, okay.
That don't seem to, that
Vincent
I couldn't
Price.
really even, I guess even thematically, I was like, the poems didn't really seem to link to the multiple subplots and everything that was going on.
Yeah, it seems like a lot to mix together just to have the 2 names in it.
Yes, yeah.
I don't know if this attributes to your trivia questions. Maybe I should keep this to myself. But did you notice who wrote the screenplay?
Let me see. No, it has nothing to do with the trivia question. So
Charles Beaumont.
Oh, that's right. Yes, so Charles Beaumont wrote it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, those 3 names on the screen during the opening credits was Edgar Allan Poe, H.P. Lovecraft, and Charles Beaumont. I thought, oh, we're in for some good stuff.
Yeah, and and that, especially getting into the likes and dislikes, I think there will be definitely those 3 names. I'm sure will pop up. So let me see. Question 4: which 1970s Vincent Price film did this film appear in as stock footage? Was it A. Madhouse, 1974, B. Dr. Phibes Rises Again or Rides Again, depending on if Ernest Pugh was involved or not. C. Mooch Goes to Hollywood, with 71, and D. Theater of Blood. 1973.
Okay, so I really like Madhouse and Theater of Blood a lot.
Okay.
Those two movies are really, really good. I believe in Madhouse, I don't believe it's Madhouse, because they do show film strips of Vincent Price, but it's not from this movie. I haven't seen Theater in Blood for a while. And what did you say? Mooch Goes to Hollywood?
Yeah, 1971.
Mooch Goes that sounds made up. And that, by the way, my prize is moving too. That's weird.
Don't look at Mooch. I mean, your prize.
What? I don't think Mooch Goes to Hollywood is a real movie. So I'm gonna say, since I haven't seen it in a while, it's Theater of Blood.
Adam, that is incorrect.
Is it Dr. Phibes?
It's Madhouse.
What?
That's from what I looked up. It's Madhouse.
Oh,
now,
wow.
I've never seen Madhouse.
Well, no, they show a couple of film strips in that movie, so maybe
Yeah.
But there's one, I can't remember the other movie they show, or the other. No, it's the one with Karloff. It's
Black Sabbath?
No, it's where they're in the castle, and I think Jack Nicholson's in it. I think it's
The Terror.
The Terror.
Yes,
yes,
I've seen The Terror.
I think there's a film strip of The Terror in there as well.
Yep, he's in the film stock shows Vincent Price, and he's like, I am a warlock. It's me, Joseph Kerwin, from the movie Haunted Palace.
Oh, all right.
So I'm surprised you didn't get it.
Yeah. Apparently I don't like those movies that much.
It was right there. I mean, this movie is called Horror Palace or Haunted Palace.
Mooch Goes to Hollywood.
Oh, so Mooch Goes to Hollywood is a real movie. It's about a dog who wants to become a star, apparently.
Huh.
You should review it.
Does the dog play basketball?
Nah, I don't know.
I'll have to wait and see.
Question 5, true or false? Edgar Allan Poe's name is misspelled twice in the opening credits.
Edgar Allan Poe. So you're saying his first, middle, or last name?
Could be. I didn't reveal that in the question.
So maybe it's maybe they put an Allen with two A's instead of an A and an E. Misspelled twice. This is for all the mooches.
Yeah, if you get this one, this is this puts you at 3 out of 5. So that's like a winning score.
Yeah, it's more than winning. It's well over winning. I'm gonna have to say true, only because why would you bring it up that they were misspelled?
Well, it could be the amount of times.
Oh, then false. No, true. I'm gonna say true.
Okay. Yes, it is true. So it was spelled Allen. You were Allen. And in fact, because I'm bad with names, I often misspell Edgar Allan Poe as Allen.
Yeah.
So I thought it was interesting that I'm like, oh, this poor guy who
That's an honest mistake. I mean,
maybe in another life I had his job and I would also do the same thing. So I took pity on him. So Adam, you win the prize, and I have nothing for you.
All right.
Just this copy here of Mooch Goes to Hollywood.
Oh, you've wrapped one of my lamps.
I did. Yep. It's enjoy. It turns on and off.
Yeah, humble brag. I have a lot of lamps.
Adam owns lamps. So that is the that was trivia game. Hopefully you learned something, Adam. Hopefully the audience listening or person listening. I say audiences if there's more than one. Maybe you guys learned something too from the trivia game. In the next segment, we're going to take a quick break. We'll go to the next segment, and we're just going to kind of wrap up, give our overall thoughts.
I learned that Mooch Goes to Hollywood is most certainly not a movie.
It's a movie. But you also did learn that Mooch goes to Hollywood. At least I think. I haven't seen the movie.
I'll be the judge of that.
All right, we will be right back. Hello and welcome back to the Film Can. I'm Josh. I'm the host, and Adam is a co-host over here.
Hello.
This is definitely one of the sloppier podcast eps I've done in a while because I wrote some questions incorrectly. I think we'll get things smoothed out as we go. Hoping on more banking on this evolving in a good, in a positive way. But I think overall, I've been enjoying talking about this film so far. So we are, Adam, you and I are going to go kind of give our final thoughts on the 1963 horror film, The Horror Palace. I wrote it, The Haunted Palace starring Vincent Price. And we're going to ask ourselves, what did we like? What did we dislike? And can we recommend this vintage film to a modern audience? So why don't we start with likes? And Adam, do you wanna start us off?
For me, I really liked the ambiance of the movie. Mm-hmm. I thought it really captured a Lovecraft feel. I liked the fog and the mist all the time. Yeah. There was never a sunny day. I thought the acting was good. I didn't have as many issues with it. It seems that you did. I thought it moved along well. He got the revenge that he sought. I thought it was a good movie. I didn't really have any dislikes. I guess the music. Not that it was a bad song, but they just played it all the time. And I was overall I liked the movie.
So I definitely mirror a lot of those aspects. Great atmosphere. Vincent Price as a whole. Just fantastic, and he's really good in this. I think even as you bring up speaking in tongues, but I think it's Vincent Price. He's got his persona, but he's also got this. He just has this presence on in every film you see him in. He could just be like a side character. In the movie Dead Heat, he appears alongside like Darren McGavin. And he's just like, even then, he's so old in that movie, but it's still just like, man, Vincent Price, you're just like, it doesn't matter what movie you appear in, you're always like this really good, this good presence. So, I definitely like those aspects. And lastly, the story. The story is just wild. I said warlocks are fun. It's like one part revenge film, one part weird H.P. Lovecraft Elder God story, and then one part just like kind of tropes of horror. And that's actually something I could bring it up now too, but because these early films and when they were made, they're not as plagued by tropes, even though this is like maybe not like color by number gothic horror. It's kind of like the modern tropes in filmmaking haven't really been established yet. This is more like stage play-y. So you've just got some weird things that happen every once in a while that you just don't see in films anymore. Just really odd things. I think like the mutant people, the way they're revealed. Vincent Price, he is kind of hamming it up when he's Joseph Kerwin when he comes back, and he's just like, I'm gonna take evil to 10.
Yes.
So and I like all that stuff, and I like that it's not predictable, really. I mean, I kind of figured the place is going to catch on fire at the end and crash and burn. That might be like the only predictable thing because it just always happens.
That's pretty tropey, for the time.
But yeah, I mean, just there's lots of odd, random things. The mutant upstairs in the guy's home, like his mutant son, just an odd. Doesn't even have to be in the movie. It's just there.
Well, but my counterpoint would be it's Lovecraft, and this town is hiding from something, and that whole thing of they're keeping this thing sheltered away. They don't want to kill it. It's theirs, but it just kind of, and the mutants on the street. Mutants on the street, but they just Lovecraft was all about the things at the edge of the shadows and the things you can't explain, and I liked that part of it. Granted, it was a character that was very much the development of that mutant character was just like, I'm going to hit against this door a little bit, and then I'm going to choke you into a fireplace. Yeah. So, but I was interested to know what was behind that door. Yeah, it was very disappointing when I saw it, but
that's definitely and funny you bring it up too. The monster who goes and chokes people. Lon Chaney Jr. He was doing that, in his youth in The Wolfman. He gets claws and fangs, and yet he wants to just choke everybody in the village. I always thought that was really interesting and an odd choice. But this mutant is it's kind of it is what it is. But yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, there's this and same with like gothic horror, that there's always this like underlying horror. This psychological menace, and this movie certainly has those, I guess, tropier aspects. But I guess in the filmmaking quality or the filmmaking aspects of it, from story, there's just kind of like weird, unpredictable things that are just like I have to appreciate, and it's what keeps me watching these types of films. Anything you want to add for likes?
No, I'm like I said, I was thoroughly entertained, and it'll go on my list for I'd say Halloween watching, but probably like March and May also.
Well, apparently January.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's jump over to dislikes. Do you want me to start with this one?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I guess in talking about it earlier, it probably gave the impression that it was like, oh, there's so much I don't like about this film. But I think more it was just the kind of the factors we were talking about all deal with pretty much the same thing, which this movie is an hour and 27 minutes long. And it feels a lot longer than that. I felt. And I watched it twice. And I still felt like it was, I think what it has to do with is that it's too much going on. You have one part, this is a story about a warlock who is trying to bring back elder gods, but he's also going to do this, I call it a Tarantino-esque revenge subplot where he goes around and starts murdering people. That should be a movie. This is two movies. This is a movie about a warlock trying to raise elder gods, and it's also about a movie about a guy who was wrongfully, or not even wrongfully, but he was killed and felt wronged and then came back and started assassinating people. That's two movies.
Maybe you're mistaken the fact that you watched it twice.
I was watching on two different levels.
You got 4 movies out of it.
If I watched it 2 more times, that's 2 more films I could pull out of it. Yeah, I just felt like, so I felt the pacing, overall the pacing was off. I felt like it was, and like I said, that when the doctor shows up, I'm like, where did I felt like that was too late in the film for them to kind of introduce this doctor character. And then, because on top of Charles Dexter Ward being, what was the word you used? He was exorcised eventually, but he's being taken over.
Possessed.
He's being possessed by Joseph Kerwin. That's happening, but then you also have an elder monster, like, or an elder god in the dungeon. It's just a lot. It doesn't. And maybe don't feel the same way, but I just felt like it was a lot because you also then have like the villagers all get their torches, and then you just have there's just like too much for me. And then Lon Chaney's there.
I guess I look at it more as, he's the embodiment of evil is Joseph Kerwin, and he's got all these dominoes that have to fall, but first he has to regain his body. And then he can do all the sordid things that he wants to do. Yeah.
So then, maybe I just needed more like a more definitive montage of him killing people. Yeah. Something or just remove that entirely. I don't know. It just seems like if he were to just say, I'm going to come back and destroy this town, and then he comes back and he just plots to kidnap a lady and raise an elder god, that's fine. I just don't feel like you don't need the rest. But and then I would also agree with the music. I think the music gets a little repetitive, and that can be annoying. But ultimately I think it's a good score. I think it fits exactly and it does what it's supposed to do, but it does get a little repetitive. And that melody that keeps repeating is like, okay, like by the second time I was like, this is 2 different songs.
This song's so bad.
Yeah, that's it. That's the one. So Adam, as far as you and dislikes.
I would say the music was very repetitive and could probably be off-putting for today's audiences, maybe. It's very orchestral. And then I guess the only other thing that kind of took me out of the movie a little bit was the townsfolk at the bar didn't leave the bar except to go to the haunted palace with torches. And the townsfolk sort of had that, Blazing Saddles townfolk. Like they didn't it didn't feel like they had a really good grasp on what they wanted to do.
Right.
And like we talked about earlier, it's like, so this guy burning in the street, that's the final straw?
Yeah, that's what set him off.
You burnt this warlock at his tree 110 years ago, and you didn't think, oh, well, this is a monastery of evil. We should burn it down. And they just seemed a little dumb.
And this is, and I agree. It's just mobbing. Yeah, I guess trying to be like, oh, this is what mobs do. They just hang out and get drunk and catch stuff on fire. Some of the confusion for me in the movie was that I thought they were the same people because, as you pointed out earlier, they don't change. The cast doesn't change, and they don't look any different, except one guy has a webbed hand. So that's a little odd. But so I thought, because maybe that the word I was looking for, impatient, that it was the same people, but they had been cursed to live forever in this town. Because it said 110 years, and I was like, oh, maybe they're starting to deform, and that's why they're so angry. But I guess that's not true. They're descendants, and that's a little confusing for me. Just because, I mean,
I can see that.
do something a little different with the characters. Don't just use the same cast in the same clothes. Like, that's very confusing.
I will say you just reminded me of this. The guy with the unfortunate webbed hand. He was also in House on Haunted Hill with Vincent Price.
That's correct. So, not that I have to tell you that you're correct, Adam, but
what? Me?
Yeah, he's I knew I recognized that guy from somewhere, and looking it up, I was like, oh yeah, that's the guy from House on Haunted Hill, which I'm sure we'll have to review at some point.
Oh yeah.
The 30 other Vincent Price films that pop up on this podcast. So hopefully you like Vincent Price, guys, because I'm sure he'll be making appearances.
One other thing too, I looked up that the audio. It's not really an audio book. It's a record ripped to YouTube, but it's called a horn book for witches, stories, and poems for Halloween. If you look that up, you can find all sorts of Vincent Price spoken word, scary story, speaking in tongues. It's if you like this kind of stuff, you'll dig it.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I definitely want to check it out, and I'll put my poor daughter through it and just be like, hey, these are the new bedtime stories we're listening to.
Excellent.
But that does sound cool. Yeah, I'll check that out. The last thing we have is can you recommend this vintage film to modern audiences?
Yeah, I mean it's a fun little movie. It's not going to scare your pants off or anything. It's just it's pretty tame. But with that being said, I think for the time, especially with the mutant qualities and the things behind closed doors, it probably was a little freakier than most fare from the time. But no, it's a fun watch for a Sunday afternoon, and yeah, I would highly recommend it.
I think I agree. I think the way Corman shoots films gives them a timeless quality, and I think the Edgar Allan Poe series of films, I don't think there's one I've seen in the series that I couldn't recommend to people. I think they're all they're beautifully shot, and I think they do a really good job with like clothing, costume design, the setting, just the initial shot in the movie with the fog, and it zeroes in on like an old lamp post. It's just wonderfully shot, and it looks great. And even though you have some what could be, I guess, like some jankier makeup aspects, guy with pig nose, web hands, the cast, the mutant cast. I think even with all of that aside, I think it's just shot really well, and there's attention to detail going on here too. So.
And their candelabra game was on point.
It really was.
I wish there was a way to do a candle count in these movies, because this had to have been over 500. This is a lot. I
would assume Corman probably talks to whoever that is, a set designer, and they probably just have like a truck filled with these things out back. And they're like, grab the candle truck, pull that up. Do you have anything you'd like to add, Adam?
Nope. Good flick. Enjoyed it immensely.
Samesies. I also enjoyed it. If you want more vintage movie reviews, look for us on iTunes or Podbean. And don't forget to subscribe and give us a rating wherever you listen to podcasts. Goodbye. Until next time.